I went to Stafford High School, located at the courthouse, from first grade through 12th grade. I was in that group where the 8th grade got put in the year after we finished 7th grade. Instead of going to high school, as everybody else did, all of a sudden we had an 8th grade. So I actually had, our class was the first one to do that. I remember my first grade teacher, Jane Blake Walker. She was first and second grade teacher. She was a new college graduate and very enthusiastic, and I got my enthusiasm and interest in school from her. I was a good student. I guess I was salutatorian of my class, and school was a good, safe, very active place for me. I was in the Beta Club. I was actually, my junior year, I directed the Glee Club for commencement, and I don't know how that happened. I don't have a memory of who fell by the wayside and let me have that opportunity. But I did, and I think, oh, that's pretty incredible, 11th grader directing the Glee Club, but I did that. There's lots of music in there, Student Cooperative Association, statewide, basketball, softball, for me personally. One of the stories we talk about when we get together for reunions with our cousins, the Crismans, is how we used to walk home from the school at Stafford High School to where we lived at 10 o'clock at night after the basketball games. Brook Road was a dirt road, and speaking of lights, there were none. I mean, occasionally you'd round a curve and you would see a dim light in somebody's house. Occasionally even a car would pass, but nobody thought it unusual that one girl and two boys were hiking down Brook Road at 10 o'clock at night. That was just what you did. We finished, the girls played first and then the boys, and then we just put our feet in the road, as they say, and walked home. And fortunately, I only had to walk 3 miles, and Delbert Wilson had to walk 2 more. And the Conyers family was below Brook Station, so he had a good 6-7 miles to walk, Ray Conyers. But it was not unusual. It was just what we did. Part of my high school years, I worked in the office for Raymond Sneed, who was the principal then. He actually gave me my typing and shorthand grade. It was a very unusual arrangement. I remember taking trigonometry but know nothing about it. So I'm not sure all the academics stuck. I am the first of my family to go to college, and education was highly prized and demanded of you. May Court was a very significant event. Queen, honor attendants, maids, flower girls, pages, train bearers, and crown bearers were chosen by popularity, and sometimes that coincided with beauty, but not always. On other pages you will see May Courts of my high school years. In 1938, I was 4 years old, I was asked to be crown bearer for Virginia White, and that's this picture right here. And then in 1939 for Lillian Knight, and that's that picture right there. The building that you see behind Lillian is what we knew as the home ec building at Stafford High School. It's behind the big brick building, but this was, in fact, the original Stafford School. It was a wooden building before they built what is still existing. This was entirely based around school. The queens were usually seniors, the honor attendants juniors, and then the pictures you saw back earlier with me, we were maids. Also at the May Court, you would dance the maypole. And I don't have any pictures of that, but the maypole dance was an activity associated with the May Court. It was an end-of-school ritual day celebration kind of thing. Very fancy. I mean, look at that bow. It's so big it's about to carry me away. The experience of high school in general did pave the way for me to go to college, at least as far as my grades were concerned. But our chemistry teacher was the football coach, and we had no lab. And I got to UVA and didn't know what a Bunsen burner was. And it was an eye-opening experience. But in most part, I was prepared by that for college. I remember, and actually I've noted that in my scrapbook, when I graduated, there were primarily two vocations open to girls, or I should say two professional vocations. One was teaching and the other was nursing. And other than them, there were clerical positions. All three of my aunts went to Washington, D.C. and worked in various areas of the government. And I myself worked for the U.S. Post Office Department in the summer of 1952 between high school and college. But yes, there were definitely very limited opportunities. Yes, in Stafford County, in the area below Brook Station, where the Aquia Creek and Potomac River come together, the confluence of those bodies of water, there was a primitive beach which we called Old Wharf. And it was not a recreational area, but wherever there's water and a little sand, I guess, you know, people will find their way there. And in 1952, it was actually restored into a recreational area, and as a matter of fact, highly promoted. Because there weren't any other areas like that. The Sportsman's Club had a contest to name the beach. And I remember my parents pestering me to come up with a name. And this will tell you something about the era. You submitted the name on a postcard. And I remember Mother putting the postcard in front of me. And I don't recall giving any great thought to it at all. But I submitted the name Aqua Po, made up of those two existing names for the water. And it was mailed off, and that's all that I thought was going to happen. But at halftime of a basketball with Falmouth High School, Sockle Stamper sought me out and told me I had won $25, which was a huge amount. to this poor country girl. I don't remember what I did with it, but it was recorded in the newspaper, and Aqua Po it did become. This is a custom, I guess. Back in my childhood, there were, in the newspaper, once a week, there would be what we called Brook Notes. There'd also be Widewater Notes, or whatever, Falmouth Notes. And some individual would write the local news. And the local news would include things like this. Wadey Grigsby is improving from her recent indisposition. And then it would talk about who visited who on the weekend. Mr. and Ms. S.T. Schooler had as their house guest for the weekend, blah, blah. But the one that we always laugh about is the one where it would say, the Stewarts motored to wherever to visit. That was a typical phrase. Miss Pearl Schooler was a dinner guest of Miss Edna Beagle Wednesday. It's like we went to Mickey D's, but no, not that at all. But these are historical. I mean, these paint the Brook Notes, and of course it was in the Freelance Star. These paint a picture of what was going on in that community.